forward into our deliberations, I'd like to hold, we've had some breaking news that the Maryland Speaker of the House, I don't know for certain how or what happened, but is suffering a loss, and we want to honor um, our speaker um, with a moment of silence and respect. All right, thank you all very much. Um, in proceeding with that, I'd like to add, um, if I may have a point of privilege, uh, courtesy of the chair. Um, Being me, I'm asking you all to allow me to speak on a few things. One, I don't recall if I appropriately acknowledge my following, my board members following the election. Tremendous amount of work went into that, a tremendous amount of commitment from each and every one of my board members, my colleagues, and I don't know if I appropriately recognize you as I did the staff, but I do want to acknowledge that I uh, have a tremendous amount of respect in your commitment and due diligence. I try to convey that after every session, but this election was a very uh, inaugural test of a new board, a new state administrator, a new governor, and I think we came through with flying colors, as I understand it. Um, Maryland is still a model for the rest of the nation with regards to carrying out their elections. When I joined this board, I knew that kind of, but after getting on, when I came, I saw why. I came on to as a minority, um, in the Democratic Party, and I was greeted with a tremendous amount of respect, courtesy, yeah, which led the way for me to understand the goal here. And it was to be bipartisan and nonpartisan in our actions, to not be led by an ideology, even though you have an ideology. They showed me, my colleagues, showed me how to go beyond that, to work to the good of the whole, and to be able to not allow my ideology to sway my interpretation of what that good is. Looking at the staff that we have at the State Board of Election, how they conduct themselves, how they present themselves for the good of every Marylander is what I observed. They honored. And I want to continue in that path and conveying the respect that I believe leads to decorum of the body. Without respect, without recognition, it may convey to others that there is no order. And the ultimate thing that brings order, my colleagues, beyond any law or justice or sense of justice or sense of regulation or sense of code, is our moral code and our act of friendship. That should govern our actions, which ultimately speaks to an ultimate sense of decorum as we proceed, not only as members of the board and stewards of the people, but as friends. As I've honored those who have come before us, let's continue to do and act in that same regard with the moral code and compass that guides our deliberation, not our ideology, not our party, yet the left or the right. But what the good is for the people that we serve with respect, not political punting, stumping. This is not an autocratic process. It is a process formed by the people for the people, which we try to convey. And so, with that note, we're not perfect, which is why we have this body before us with voices, and they are effective at using them. Believe me. So, with that being said, are there any additions to the agenda?
I'd like to amend your remarks to thank you for your leadership. Outstanding. Thank you for your leadership. I
Thank,
appreciate it very much.
thank you very much, Vice Chair. If that's an addition, I greatly appreciate that one. I'll take that one. I needed that. Thank you very much. I truly did. Jake, did I see your hand?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and
All
echo
right.
there were a couple times in there I wanted to say amen.
Oh, sorry.
No. All in good ways. Mr. Chair, you and I had discussed maybe adding a brief discussion item. I don't know if this is under new business, just concerning decorum for boards and whatnot. So didn't see that on the agenda, but wasn't sure if that was on your copy. So just wanted to confirm.
It's open. We can add that to the agenda for new business. Thank you very much
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
for the reminder. I think it went out. Yes. All right. Anything else from the board for new business? All right. Hearing none. Thank you very much, folks. We'll move on with the approval of the minutes. Open minutes meeting January 23rd, 2025. Are you all in receipt of those minutes? Have you all reviewed those minutes?
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve those
One change,
Oh,
Mr. Chair.
okay.
In the open minutes, this is a small thing, but I noticed it does not say member after member Jackson Stanley, but it does after the rest of us.
Good catch.
Thank you very much. With that noted addition or edit, is there a motion to accept the amended minutes?
I move we accept the minutes as written, or with the change.
Thank you. Is there a second? Been properly seconded, Member Weissman. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand.
All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. All those in favor, please indicate.
Fred, you unmuted.
All those in favor, please indicate.
Fred, you unmuted.
All those in favor, please indicate. All those in favor, please indicate.
All right, here we go. Thank you very much. Wow. Echo chamber for real. Thank you guys very much. I needed that today. All right, Fred. So the minutes have been approved. The open minutes have been approved unanimously. Thank you all as amended. Thank you very much, Member Weissman. Moving on to the closed meeting, January 23rd, 2025. Have the members received those materials? Are there any questions, concerns, edits regarding the minutes of that closed meeting? Hearing none. Is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So move.
It's been moved by Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded. Thank you very much. I saw Member Weissman. First to acknowledge is all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by raising your hand. So moved. The minutes are approved, unanimous consent. Thank you all so very much. Now, without delay, we are moving on to the state administrator's report. Jared?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. I'm going to make sure that you already have my written remarks here. So some of the stuff I'm just going to kind of like go through a little bit quickly, and if there's any questions, feel free to ask. I will probably touch base more about the legislation on the legislative updates, but so far, our departmental bills are moving along in both houses. You know, the special election one had some amendments, but overall, you know, everything seems to be moving good for us on our 4 departmental bills. We are continuing to work with the Department of General Services and our landlord to do the enhanced security features in our office. So that project is still underway, and hopefully we'll be breaking ground in the next few weeks over that. Big news, of course, is that the Prince George's County special election has been underway. Early voting started yesterday, February 26th, and will go through to Election Day, March 4th. So we had over 43,000 mail-in ballots returned so far, and roughly about 1,000 people voted yesterday in person. So you know, that election is going forward, and we are still doing our outreach campaign on that as well. We have the biannual conference that the planning is, you know, again underway. We're working closely with Mayo in conjunction with their conference. So we have the first 2 days, and then they have the rest of the time there. So ours is going to start Sunday, May 4th. And go through Sunday night to Monday morning, Monday, the May 5th. That's the biannual conference. We are actively monitoring the federal funding freeze, since we do receive federal grants. So, you know, we are all aware of this, and that was something that I also mentioned in our budget hearings as well, that we are at least monitoring that and keeping the governor's office abreast of any issues that we foresee with any federal funding we have on that. Right now, we have been fully funded through the HAVA for the grants, so it has not been affected by any of the freezes thus far. However, one of I just want to make sure that the board is aware that the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, which regularly partnered with SBE and election officials across the country regarding physical and cybersecurity services, has been basically ending their services that they provide to us at the federal level there, and we are, you know, mitigating those functions that they performed for us with state and other federal partners. So that's something that we're on the lookout, and you know, on the federal side there. I attended the National Association of Election Directors Conference in Washington, D.C., February 2nd through the 4th. The conference was filled with great informative panels, and I just wanted to make note that the executive director for the American Council of Election Technology, which is the trade organization for all voting system vendors, you know, they presented a panel there, and that they said that the new voting system certified to the 2.0 standards will be 20 to 50% more in cost than the ones certified to the 1.0 standards. So that's something that we are now thinking of accounting for in our budget allocations for that, and notifying the counties. Additionally, CISA, again, that organization they were supposed to be in a big attendance there, and they were noticeably absent from the conference as well. So that's kind of some of the bigger items there. On candidacy and campaign finance, the special election reports were due in February. These reports are only due for political committees participating in the special election. And if they fail to file, you know, it's the same penalties of $20 a day for the first 7 days, 35 days for the next 7, and $50 a day thereafter, up to $1,000. And so, and it seems now we're going to start seeing an uptick of new committees being established as well as we gear up for the 2026 election. We have 25 new committees that were filed. The candidate filing period for the 2026 gubernatorial election has begun. And so candidates have been coming in, and we'll give you more stats for the March meeting as they file. And due to a cyber incident in Anne Arundel County, the State Board of Elections will be taking candidate filings for the county until that's resolved. So, you know, we're mitigating some of the issues that are confronting Anne Arundel County and the in their LBE. With that, you know, we are still moving forward with the MD-CRIS, you know, updates, and our new vendor is now in place, and we're working on transitioning of the data from the current system. So, and by April 1st, we should have transitioned MD-CRIS to the new vendor for operations and maintenance while converting the data into a new data system. This will allow for no down periods in filings, inputting data, or public searches. So it's kind of, we'll transition the system over to the new vendor, and then the new vendor will be able to start integrating it into their updated system. As we you know, move forward, the Fair Campaign Finance Fund is fully funded, so we're almost at $10 million. That's fantastic. And you know, the enforcement team is you know, did their actions there and collected a little bit over $7,600 in civil penalties. In election management and compliance, we are going to begin our classes at the biannual conference for the Maryland Election Administration Education Program. These classes are mandatory for election directors, but optional for deputies and designated staff members. So we will be running, courses will include running effective open meetings, working with challengers and watchers, and effective canvassing. So we want to make sure that, you know, they're still fresh in their mind and going forward with it. Correctional facility voting. We submitted our annual report to our committees, and it detailed what efforts we made for registration and voting in facilities there. It was, you know, and again, I even went to a correctional facility to help out with voter registration efforts there. We submitted our final report to the National Federation of the Blind per the settlement agreement, and that report just included all the information on the ballot marking devices, allocation, and usage by precinct. You know, we only had 2 polling places statewide that did not have at least 10 voters use a ballot marking device on election day. One of those only had a total of 7 voters total. So that's why we didn't get 10 in there. And we did not receive any complaints as defined by the agreement. And the National Federation of the Blind was aware of this and has not had any issues with our report so far. In information systems and technologies, we are moving forward, making sure that we're securing additional software tokens to increase our security features for, you know, I would say mail-in ballot processing. And, you know, we're going to make sure that, you know, all our election systems are still maintaining the Maryland State Systems Development Life Cycle policies there. Again, you know, AI is always a big ticket, and, you know, our IT division and security leadership is running a list of vetted and approved generative AI tools. And, you know, we are distributing them to staff and LBE so that they know which ones they can and cannot use on that. So that's great. We have made sure that in information security, we have our newest vendor taking responsibility for our Security Operations Center, SOC as it's called. And so, you know, we're making sure that all our procedures and cyber security measures now are in place for the 2026 elections. You start preparing as early as possible here. So on personnel management, you know, we passed the recruitment audit and retirement audit. So that's great. Kudos to the personnel division there, and Chris, the director, for making sure that we did all the audits and we you know, did it timely. That's always great, passing audits, as a person who's done many of audits for campaigns. For new hires, we have Lexi Roden back to our voting operations division. She had left for about a year, so now she's back, and we have Francis Morgan, who's beginning work as our new IT systems tech specialist. He comes over from the Workers' Comp Commission, and where he was the IT program analyst lead. And Kenneth Clyburn joins our voting operations division and has a background specializing in operations, audit, and processing, a banking background as well. As for procurements, I think the biggest one here is, of course, we have our, you know, we're still ongoing with our major procurements, which is the e-poll book procurement, new voting systems, and of course, we are you know, requesting funds for the statewide a new MD voters as well. So those are all underway and moving forward for you know, the next cycles. And so but the poll book and the new voting systems are still planned for deployment for the 2028 election, moving forward with it. As you can see in mail-in voting, that was pretty much focused on the Prince George's special election. We sent out nearly 500,000 ballot packets, and about 7,000 more have been sent out via email to our via web delivery. So that, you know, that's been underway, and you know, the special election for the general is scheduled for June 3rd, and we're going to be planning to sending out over 600,000 ballots by April 2nd for that. I mean, April 21st for that. And voter registrations and operations, you know, now it's just the time that we're reviewing all our policies and procedures in 25 and updating our manuals, and most notably the assisted living nursing home manual. So that, you know, we are making sure that you know, this is the prep year. So yes, moving forward with it. And you know, we are going to conduct audits as well, post-election audits. We did the Clear Ballot, which is the automated tabulation audit for both the 24 primary and the general, and we're going to be doing that again for the Prince George's County special primary and general election as well. Most local boards now have conducted their post-election manual audits. The manual audits involved a hand tabulation of ballots cast early, in person, and on election day, and by mail. They were randomly selected, and you know, and basically, as of this week, 14 local boards had finished the manual audit, and we're still getting the results from the others, and we're posting them online once we get their reports. So that's moving forward. As for you know, just kind of voter totals here, we have almost 4.3 million active voters in the state of Maryland, and some counties are near a new level for early voting. So you know, we're monitoring that, because as the counties could need more equipment if they move up a level for in early voting from like 1 to 3 or 3 to 5, depending on where they are in the system there. And you have some more stats there. Overall, I did not exercise any delegated duties in the last month or so. So with that, I submit the admin report for you and for any questions or comments.
I just,
All right, thank you, Jared. Member Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Jared, just two quick questions. One, I must have missed that, making notes. What is this organization, SOC, you said? And they
SOC?
are,
It's not an organization. It is actually our security feature that it's a service that monitors our operations. It's a security operations center. So it basically makes sure that for cybersecurity elements and protecting our systems from attack.
how do you spell that, Jared?
Security Operations Center, SOC, SOC.
Thanks. And lastly, this conference in Annapolis, is that a mandatory conference?
The biannual conference is a mandatory conference for the local boards and their members. Yes, for you as well. It is in Ocean City, May 4th through the 5th.
And
But not the
Just-
state board. The state board, I don't believe, the members, it's not mandatory for them. But we'll double check because it's in the state law.
and if we wanted to stay an extra day or two, is that allowable?
We can talk about that.
And do we make the arrangements? Like in Montgomery County, the staff did all that. How does that work?
Yeah, we can talk about that,
Okay.
about.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Thanks, Vice Chair. If there's anything else, Member Butler?
I just had a quick question. So for the PG County, all these, the extra elections that they have to have. So you're sending out, are we sending out to all the voters? Is that what they're doing? All the voters that are in the area that need to vote?
So, yes, so the Prince George's County, the IL, right, they, when the vacancy occurred, issued a proclamation to do a special election vote by mail. So that means everyone receives a ballot, regardless of whether you've requested it in the past or signed up on the permanent mail-in ballot list. As a vote by mail election, everyone just receives the ballot in the mail. And that's how this election was conducted.
And do they have vote centers also, or they're just doing it all by mail?
So they do have vote centers. That's what the early voting is. They have 9 vote centers that started yesterday and will continue all the way through to Election Day.
Okay, so they're still having like 8 days of early voting and election day besides the full mail-in? Okay,
Yes.
all right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Sound like a lot of great work being done by the State Board of Elections in connection with the local boards and putting on these special elections. So thank you very, very much, folks. With that, Member Weissman, yeah, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Mariners, just going back to the new voting system for a second, was wondering if you could talk a little bit about kind of what this process is going to look like. In terms of if we have any idea in terms of the cost, in terms of kind of what that RFP will look like, and in terms of kind of all that.
So, without getting too involved with the RFP portion of it, but we did release an RFI. So a lot of the stuff now would be the EAC, which is the Election Assistant Commission, has now updated the voluntary voting system guidelines from 1.0 standards to 2.0 standards. The state law requires us to abide by those standards, which is why we had to delay the actual, because of the contract for 2026. No company has been certified to 2.0 standards. The industry representative had acknowledged that in this time period here, that by 2028, yes, more companies and everyone will be up to that standard, which is where we are in our process for procurement purposes there. The standard there was basically, the executive director was basically trying to, I think, give us a little bit of sticker shock, because I was at least sticker shock with the idea of that these changes to the newer updated systems would cost 20 to 50% more on that. You know, I took away from that was that we need to start planning for those additional costs, because at one point I didn't think that it was that big of a difference between 1.0 to 2.0, but I guess the industry thought it was a bigger lift, and and we'll pass those costs along.
I do wonder if you'd be open, Mr. Chair, we can talk about this more, but to have industry representatives come to one of our meetings and kind of give their opinion and costs of kind of the 2.0 timeframe.
I guess you're requesting a subject matter expert to come and talk about that.
Yeah,
To the board, and that's something we can talk to offline with
Yeah.
Jerry about, especially with regards to us being in a procurement process. Don't want to
100%.
unlevel the field.
Yeah.
Right,
So
but I can definitely reach out to the person that presented at the NASHED, the executive director, and because that's a public one there.
Yeah, that could be good.
Alright.
Appreciate it. Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator.
Any other questions of the administrator regarding the administrator's report? All right. Hearing none, we're moving on to our assistant. Thank you very much, Jared. Our Assistant Attorney General's report, Dan Corbin.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. The Assistant Attorney General's report is fairly short this week. A number of cases have dropped off. I'll refer you to the report. There's 3 matters. One is Sullivan et al. V. Summers et al. There have been no changes in that case. The last filing was in actually October of 2024. The parties exchanged filings about a DOJ update, but nothing since then. We're still awaiting a decision from the district court. Wacomico County branch of the NAACP, I'm happy to report that 2 days ago, the parties together jointly, plaintiffs and defendants, all submitted a letter to the court saying that we have executed the settlement agreement in the case. And we are awaiting essentially scheduling from the court so that the court can enter a consent decree that would formally end the litigation, and especially SBE's involvement in it. And then the third case may sound familiar, Della Rocca v. Lee et al. That is because Mr. Della Rocca filed suit against Secretary Lee, Chair Summers, and Postmaster General DeJoy back in September of last year. OAG defended the case, and the case was dismissed in October. The plaintiff refiled the case at the beginning of December after having voted in the 2024 election, and served all parties late December, mid-January. And so that case is ongoing now. OAG has filed a motion to dismiss on behalf of the Secretary of State and the Chair of the State Board of Elections. DOJ is representing Postmaster General DeJoy and will be filing a motion to dismiss in about 2 weeks. Currently, the plaintiffs have opposed our motion to dismiss, and we intend on filing a reply in the next week. And that's it, 3 cases. Congratulations.
Congratulations to you. Yeoman's work. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Is there any questions from the board? Any comment of support from the board? Sorry, just kidding. Hey, I've seen that list grow from 2 pages to three bullets, 1 page. So thank you very much. Valiant effort, Dan, valiant effort. All right. With that being said, thank you very much, Dan. Appreciate it. And we're moving on to our Title 13 and Title 14 section of the agenda. And do we have Alan ready? If there's any questions, okay, go ahead, Alan.
Good afternoon, everyone. For Title 13, again, this is candidate committees, PACs, parties, all those fun entities. I have 15 approvals and 11 denials. And feel free, if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you very much, Alan. Now, Yes, Member Weissman, yes.
Thanks. And Mr. Norfleet, thanks. I know we've discussed this in the past, but can you give us a refresher as to how you make the decision, what to recommend for approval and what you recommend for how you choose what to recommend and for both Title 13 and 14?
Sure, of course. So we are deferential to those. This is their first time seeking a waiver. So we do take that into consideration. If it's a technical problem, we will take that into consideration. We also take family life issues, hospitalizations, life happens. So we try to be understanding of that. But again, if it's continued requests for waivers, we will also take that into consideration.
And I'm assuming when you mean first time, like I was looking through these and one committee, it was their first time applying, but it was for literally every report in the reporting deadline. I'm assuming that kind of factors into it as well.
Yes. And for example, it happens a lot in Title 14. We have to backdate their registration so for example, you're a small business and you hire a lobbyist and your lobbyist didn't tell you that you needed to register. It happens, unfortunately. So we try to be understanding because all of a sudden they have like 5 missing reports.
Yeah.
So we take all those into consideration.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Thank you, Alan, for your patience. Member Butler, I think has a question for you.
I think as I was looking carefully through them too, again, it seems like if they don't bother to file at all, then that's one of the issues. If they've tried to file and they're struggling with it, then that makes a big difference. If they just don't even bother, then you tend to go after them a little harder, correct?
Yes, thanks
Yeah.
for mentioning that. Yeah, we if you don't file the report, that will disqualify you from the waiver.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Member Weissman, I think you
I just
satisfied
didn't understand. I didn't understand completely what Mr. Norfleet meant there.
Oh, so if you have a missing report, and you're seeking a waiver for the $1,000 fine, you have to file that missing report before you can seek
Gotcha.
a waiver. Sorry, that I didn't.
No, that makes
Sorry.
sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Sure.
Mr. Chair.
all right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Member Jackson Stanley, thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Norfleet. I understood everything that you're saying, but a recurring statement seems to crop up in like 3 or 4 out of 10 statements. They're always talking about how the system is hard to navigate. I didn't understand. I think I made that notation several times. What is the reason? No, that's not how I want to put it. How is the system so difficult for some, but others, they can seem to navigate well? I get this is a recurring theme with several people. We even had some nasty grams that like this system is antiquated and, yada, yada, yada. Why is the system so hard for some, but not for others? What is the difference in the understanding of navigating the system?
Well, we have an older system. Like this system originates, I think, originally from 2012. So it is showing its age. We are in the middle of procuring a new system. We are transitioning to a new system right now. So I think the technology is a struggle and it's not as intuitive as it should be. And it depends on how technical you are. I think there's a range of technical back
Sophistication. You have
yes.
to be, I'm not a computer literate novice. I know how to navigate, but I couldn't, without any clarity, without any qualms, say that I would not know how to navigate a system that has got too many moving parts. And that's what it sounds like is happening to some people.
Yeah, our filing community, it's a wide range from very technical people to very, I'll tell you a story. My days at the FEC, I would have to tell people how to turn their computers on. Like that's where we started. So
Okay,
If that shows you the variety of technical skills. But we do, if they give us a call, we will walk them through. But in this new system, we will do extensive training so that people know how to use the system and do frequent training.
right. That seems to be an excuse, but if you just don't know, it's a good excuse.
Yeah.
But you've
Understood.
already identified that, so we're
Mhm.
on top of it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Mike?
Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. I think I'm hearing another voice out there with a question or concern for you, Alan. Yeah, Vice Chair Shelley.
No, I just wanted to say that in my experience as a candidate in the past, Alan and his team have been so helpful to candidates that call for help in filling out these campaign report filings. There's no excuse for them not to file because we have training sessions. Alan's available, his staff is available, and they walk you through this. It's not rocket science. And to run for office, you've got to account for every dollar that you raise and spend. So I think our board offers a lot of help to people that have difficulty, and that excuse shouldn't be automatic, in my view. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I believe we have codified the staff's recommendation, which is seeking board's approval
Sick.
of granting a waiver request. Is there a motion? I see a motion. Is there a second? Member Weissman moved, properly seconded. Members Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. So moved. Thank you very much, Alan, for your patience. That was for Title 13 and your responses. I think that helped a lot of onlookers and listeners significantly. So thank you, members. And now moving on to, with that, Title 14.
I have 7 approvals and 8 denials to present. Let me know if you have any questions.
So we don't have to worry or concern ourselves with the denials. We do have to concern ourselves with the approvals, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or concerns with the Title 14? Election law article, Title 14, candidacy and campaign finance, dealing with organizations, companies,
Chair,
persons doing public business. Yes, go ahead.
just for Alan, is there an appeal mechanism if you reject a waiver request? Is there a mechanism to appeal or not?
There is a chance for a reconsideration after the first denial. We do get those. They either, I think we actually have 1 or 2 reconsider. They're identified in the packet which ones are reconsiderations. So we do take that into consideration as well. Their second request, and they may elaborate a little bit further, like, this is a small company or small, this will be a financial hardship, for example. So they do provide more information to make a determination.
Do they ever go to circuit court for relief? If I don't know if they can, but do they ever go to court to challenge your rulings?
Not since I've been here.
Okay.
Jared might could speak a little further.
I can tell you, I mean, yes, they have the ability to take that all the way to court. But in my time here, no one has ever gone that route as well.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you all very much. Is there a motion to accept the Title 14 recommendations
I move we
from
accept
staff recommendation? So move, Member Butler. Is there a second? It's probably second. Thank you, Member Weissman. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is moved, unanimous consent to accept the staff's recommendation to approve. Thank you. So the waivers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Now, it appears per the agenda, we are moving on to quite a few pieces of regulation that are being proposed as presented as final. We have discussed these. They have gone out. Jared, correct me if I'm wrong, for public comment and have come back and are ready for final. We can't hear you. No or yes?
Sorry. Yes, that is correct. And
Okay.
Melissa is on the line here for any sort of questions about it, or if you want to, she can run through them for what, just for the board, just to
I think
remind
for the
them.
record, we would
Right.
like for her to run through them for a refresher reminder
Yes.
and letting everyone know that we have passed these preliminarily and they have been put out for public comment. And we would be, if there were public comment made, we would be made aware. And if not, now we are moving towards final final vote on the regulations being presented. So yes, please, let's cover each one.
Sure,
for
I
the
can
agenda.
do a
Thank
quick
you.
summary of each of the regs. You make my
Thank
job
you.
easy again.
So-
So 33070402 is regulation to allow limited use of cell phones in the polling place to align with new developments in the law. And please just stop me if you have any questions. I'll take a brief pause after each one. 33080102 formalizes the waiver process that local boards need to follow to request a waiver from early canvas. We already followed this process, but it has not made it into our regs yet. 33080505 removes an outdated reference to touchscreen voting units, which we don't have anymore. You'll see some more of those probably next month. 33210702 is a special election by mail canvassing regulation. And right now it is not consistent with our normal canvassing regulations for a statewide election. This makes it consistent with statewide canvassing regulations. Let's see, the next one is 33150302. This is a correction to a prior regulation that mirrors the notice requirements for a change in polling place in the election law. When we did the regulation update, we omitted a notice requirement to municipals. This adds that notice requirement. And I believe the final one is the big one, which is the warehouse regulations. That's 331504. And that is a new section. So it's all of the regulations that come after that. It's the last 2.5 pages of your packet. And that creates the requirements for warehouses and sets the standards for the state to reimburse for warehouse space for the local boards of elections.
You know, we received a letter of support from Mayo for that one, correct?
You did,
Okay.
yes. Mayo did send a letter of support.
All right.
I just have one question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Vice
Vice Chair.
Regarding the warehouse regulations, do we envision the local board assigning someone to be responsible to be the director of that program or the whatever they want to call it, someone in charge of the warehouse? So we have a person that's responsible and can be a liaison with the board.
I
The way
think
read
that,
it- Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No,
I'm
go
just,
ahead.
no, I was just wondering if we gonna have a person in charge who's responsible and can answer the questions and concerns that boards have. Someone in charge.
Oh, are you referring to the State Board of Elections?
No,
Are
I'm-
we going to have someone or the local boards of
The
elections?
local boards, are they gonna have someone who's in charge of the warehouse?
I think generally speaking, their election directors take on that role. I think in a perfect world, maybe we would have additional resources available for somebody, but it is usually the election director who takes on that role.
So, Vice Chair, just to let you know, right, it's the election director, like, we give the responsibility to the election director, and then the election director, depending on each local board is unique in a sense, right? From staffing purposes, right? You have ones that have 3 staff members to ones that have, 50 or plus, right? So at this point here, it's more, we give the task to the election director. The election director is supposed to be aware of it. And, they have in the law too, that if there's any sort of incidences, if there's problems at the warehouse, they have to notify the state administrator within 48 hours or so, of the incident or so that we then can notify you and go forward with it. So,
Thanks.
yes.
Thanks.
Are there any further questions? Thank you very much, Melissa. I greatly appreciate it. Board members, are we going to take these one by one, or are we going to lump them? I think we could easily go through whether we accept or approve the recommendations from the staff for final reg 33.07.04.02. Is there a motion?
Motion
Am
to
I-
accept.
Okay, so moved. Thank you very much, Member Butler. Is there a second? This is order and decorum. There's probably
second the
second. Thank
motion,
you
Mr.
very
Chair.
much. Thank you very much, Member Jackson Stanley. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. I'm sorry, 1 second. I'm checking. Oh, I see you there. Thank you. It is unanimous and so moved. All right, and the chair is open for a motion to accept the final regulation 33.08.01.02 definition general provisions. Is that a motion, Member Weissman? Yes, it has been moved. Is there a second? It's been properly seconded. Thank you, Vice Chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is unanimous. Thank you very much. So moved. And we are now on to final reg 33.08.05.05 post-election verification and audit. Is there a motion?
I moved.
Is so moved. Is there a second? So properly second. Thank you very much, Member Weissman. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. And unanimous consent. Thank you all very much. It has been passed for final reg. We are now at regulation 33.15.03 polling places. Now we'll take these together, 3315.03.02 and the new reg 33.15.04 storage facilities warehouse. Any problem with that, folks? No. All right, I will entertain a motion to accept final. Thank you very much, Member Weissman. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded. Thank you very much, Member Butler. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. So moved. Thank you very much. Unanimous consent. Now moving on for both regs. Moving on now to 33.21.07.02 canvassing ballot rejection. Is there a motion? So moved. Thank you very much. Is there a second? That's Member Weissman making a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Member Jackson Stanley properly seconds. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you so very much. I recognize we are in unanimous consent. So moved. All right. Thank you guys so very much. Now we're on to what we're all here for and excited about this legislative update. Give us the good and skinny. All the word product. I mean, come on.
You know who the former legislator is here.
Exactly, right?
Stop it.
I was running into my vice chair at one of the hearings too. So I think right now it looks like all the bills have been introduced, and as everyone knows, that there can always be more introduced, but it just has to go through rules and everything else if it's a late filing. This year we have 90 election bills in total, and they've all had their hearings now scheduled. So this is so now we're just moving on. Oh wait, I'm sorry. There's I think 3 more or so that still need to come out of rules from the updated website here. Our 4 departmental bills have been doing well. Most notably, the special election bill, they amended out the provision on only holding one election and giving enabling legislation to the counties to either hold a primary, special, or just to go right directly to a general. The General Assembly amended that provision out of the bill, and it's now on second reader in the both chambers. The other departmental bills have been also moving. The new petition for the formation of a new political party has passed out of the House and is in the Senate now. So that's one chamber done. And notice which was House Bill, and now House Bill 199, which is election law notice to permanent absentee voters, to clarify that language, has also passed out of the House and is on to the Senate for passage as well. So those are great, moving those forward. Additionally, one of the other ones, which is House Bill 322, which is election law and municipal elections, allowing the state administrator, myself, to enter into MOUs with municipalities to help their elections, whether with support, whether equipment or use of contracts. That passed out of the House, and also was the cross-filer, which is Senate Bill 880. Senate Bill 88 of Senator Kagan. Her bill is passed out of second reader, so that is moving along. And another one that I think is notable here, which is requiring the local boards to have their meetings basically live streamed, kind of like what we've been doing now. That passed out of the House as well. And the hearing for that bill took place in the Senate yesterday. So I don't foresee any issues coming up with those bills there. We've been keeping abreast of all these ones and keeping Mayo informed of them as well. I think one of the other ones too, which is there was a hearing yesterday on for election judges, and that the election judges, to the extent practicable, should be divided between the political parties. I think that it alleviates what occurred in 2024. That was a Senator Simon Ayer bill, and that had its hearing yesterday. Mayo had come out in support of that bill as well. And something close to the vice chair's heart, and others as well, is we have had hearings now about moving the primary election in 2026 from the last Tuesday in June to the 4th Tuesday in June. So both Senator Kagan and Delegate Wilkins are the lead sponsors in those bills there, and they've both had hearings on that front there. So that is something that we have already started. If that bill passes, we have a calendar ready to go for that, so that there is no delay in that matter there. But that's kind of the bigger legislative updates. Happy to answer any questions, and we'll be keeping you definitely informed of any of the passages, and and when there will be bill signings as well.
Thank you, Jared. Member Butler, go ahead.
Hi,
Question?
Jared. Jared, could you explain a little more about the election judges bill? Were there two bills there that you were talking about together, or?
So there's one, the Senator Simon Ayer's bill, which is the one that Mayo said, and that basically said, how you have to have the 50-50 split, and it basically puts in, to the extent practicable, before that. So that if a county cannot achieve that, split accordingly, then they would be able to facilitate with unaffiliated voters or members of another political party to be election judges. And the best part about that bill too is it's not, the current law just talks about if you have 6 judges, you have to have an equal division, right? But it doesn't talk about it being specifically for chief judges. That bill carves out that chief judges should be split 50-50 between the 2 political parties as well as the other ones. So it clarifies it's not just all judges, but includes the chief judges as well.
So currently we have the chief judges with the 50-50 split, but how does this bill change that?
It's to the extent practicable, so that they are, as we go through it and recruit, it will allow for if the split is not achievable 45 days prior to the election, then it would be then they can facilitate filling the vacancies with unaffiliated and non-principal political party election judges.
So the original bill said you could fill it with unaffiliated or the teenagers, but this bill is going to allow you to have, say, 2 Republican chief judges or 2 Democrat chief judges at
No,
one
it would never have that. It says that you can never have 2 of one party.
of the chief judges. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Thanks.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
All right, anything further, Member Butler? Your hand's still up.
No,
Oh, okay.
I got down.
No
It
problem.
takes me a
All right.
second.
No problem. Just wanted to make sure. Anyone else? Thank you very much, Jared, for that thorough update. Greatly appreciate it. And now moving on, members, to old business. And there is none indicated
Go
on
ahead.
the agenda. Yes, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I want to revisit an issue that has bothered me a lot. Last meeting, we had been referred back from the state prosecutor, a campaign committee that in 2016 had $28,000 plus in its campaign account. Since then, I don't think there's been any reporting, or if there has been, that $28,000 has disappeared. The case was sent to the special prosecutor, and they returned it to us saying they couldn't do anything. They said they interviewed the treasurer, and she said, I don't know what happened to the money. Apparently the candidate is an elderly gentleman. They went to the bank where the account was, and the bank said, we don't have any records that go back that far. So they sent it back to us and said, you handle it. I was disappointed in that. That's a lot of money that's missing. And that money is people's hard-earned money for contributions and participating in the electoral process. I would like to dialogue with Dan, if he's still on, or Jared. I mean, is there any?
I think that was to Alan and or Jared to clarify with the state
Yeah,
prosecution. but-
Dan, I was just curious. I know we don't have any criminal jurisdiction, and I'm not saying that this was criminal, but $28,000 is missing. And the explanation is, I don't know where it is. And the bank doesn't have any records. I mean, I don't think that's a defense. I don't know where it is. I mean, under the law, the treasurer is legally responsible as a fiduciary for these funds. I mean, do we have the authority to bring a civil action? When I say we, the Board of Elections, for like an accounting in circuit court, file an action for an accounting to ask a judge to force the relevant officers and people to account for this money. It's called an accounting. Or do we have the authority to sue in circuit court for seeking reimbursement of these monies? I just, as a former candidate, filing these reports was a tremendous burden. And for people that don't know, in Maryland, you have to reconcile your account, not to the nickel, not to the dime, to the penny. You can't close an account unless your account balances contributions and expenditures to the penny. So that's quite a burden. So anyway, I just hate not to do anything when so much money is missing. I also believe that if by not doing anything, that's not a very strong deterrent to others. And I just throw it out to the board. I really think we should do something. I know that Alan was going to go back to the state prosecutor and see if they would follow up. I don't, if Alan could report on that, but I just find this troubling, and I think I would like to see us do something to show the initiative that we want to know where this $28,000 is. So those are my thoughts, Chair. I throw it out to the board.
All right, thank you very much for sharing, Vice Chair. Alan will hopefully at some point follow up with you and the board with regards to what he finds out.
And
Member
we can
Weiss.
look into, Chair, about any civil actions that we can, and if there is none at this time here in I would say July or August, we can bring, like, if the board so is inclined to do any sort of departmental legislation into that area to expand some of our enforcement authorities as well, is always an option as well.
We don't have subpoena authority, do we,
No,
Jared?
we do not. But I think Dan can answer that one. I saw him kind of shaking his head already on that one there.
The state administrator has subpoena power in very, very narrow circumstances having to do with use of cryptocurrency or currencies that are not United States currency. But for campaign finance law violations, for violations of Title 13, essentially, of the election law article, the split that the legislature has created is that if a violation is knowing and willful, OSP can institute criminal proceedings, obviously. If there's a violation and it's not knowing or willful, there's a list of about 13 violations that SBE can impose a civil penalty for. And for the remainder of the Title 13, OSP has to impose the civil fine, the civil penalty for the violation of the campaign finance statute. Beyond that, in terms of a civil action, going to circuit court, filing something against someone specific, the Secretary of State is granted authority by the election law article to go to court to get injunctions to stop violations of campaign finance law. That is usually envisioned more for ongoing violations related to candidacy or campaign materials, not necessarily for the reporting requirements having to do with campaign finance law. And SBE, this isn't going to be a satisfactory answer, but because it's not SBE's money, it would be difficult for SBE to walk into a circuit court and say, tell us where the money went and return it to us.
Thanks, Dan.
Sure.
Appreciate that guidance, Dan. Thank you very much. Member Weissman, did you have something to add to this or had another question? Or
I was going to point
regarding
out
old
that
business?
Mr. Coburn wanted to say something, but also just wanted to thank the vice chair for keeping the focus on this. It's a very fair question. I think, yeah, thank you.
Sounds good. So we'll have a report, I guess, eventually at some point from Alan when he hears from the OSD, and then OSP, Office of Special Prosecutor, and then Jared, you're gonna follow up with looking at some regulatory measures or statute updates that we can consider. Thank you very much. That's what I gathered from that as a response. Thank you. And now with that, if there's nothing further in the old business, moving on to new business, I think this was there was a topic brought up by Member Weissman that he wanted to bring forward to the body under new business, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you and I discussed this, and I've discussed this with Member Butler as well. The idea that it would be helpful for us as a board to take a couple minutes and talk about the decorum and the behavior that we both display and bring to our board meetings, and that we hope to see emulated as local board meetings. I know we've discussed at several points in my time on this board, in both individual conversations and on this board, about disagreeing without being disagreeable, about recognizing that any member of the public that comes before this board or any of our local boards has a right to have their voices heard as loudly as they want in the time that is allocated to them, as fiercely and as broadly as they want. And it is our job as board members, as board staff, to accept that feedback. We don't have to respond, we don't have to agree, but to hear that feedback and make sure that every person feels that their voice is welcome in this participatory democracy we're a part of. And I think it just might be helpful, Mr. Chair, if we can talk a little bit about kind of best practices, if you will, for any of the people who might be watching at home in their offices, in hopes that it continues to be emulated on the local level as well.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to add to that? Member Butler.
Yeah, I think our board has done a very good job of that. And I think the one time when we couldn't get people that wanted to speak was right in the middle of the election, when we were very, very busy. And I like the fact that they, can sign up and can speak and have their time. I think at the local board level, we're having some more issues with that. And that was kind of what my conversation was about. We have to respect that we are a public serving board, and that the public does get to come and talk to us. And decorum has to apply to the directors and the board members also, and how they behave with each other too. We all have very good manners here, and we all talk very well with each other, but there are some boards that are not doing that, and it's in front of the public and then also in closed meetings. And it's just not how we want to comport ourselves. And I like to have, bring good examples to it. And I think ours is very organized, and we present our stuff, and people can come and talk to us. And I think if they have questions, would they leave them, and we have 30 days to respond to them. I think it's very important that the public know that we are there because we are serving the public. We're all public servants. That's the whole point. But I do not want to see local boards members hollering at each other or hollering at other board members. It's just not acceptable, and it has been happening. And that's what I wanted to make sure that we decorum is very, very important. And these are public meetings, and having the public meetings open to everyone so they can see them is very important. And I know that bill is going through Senator Kagan. We can thank her for that too. So thank you.
Thank you both very much. Last year during the biannual, we had a general open discussion around decorum, around open meetings, around with the local boards, and it was a pretty robust conversation. And looks like we're going to be doing some follow up on that with regards to the courses that Jared mentioned earlier, and Mayo is taking a focus on too. And I think we'll be discussing that again at our upcoming biannual. It's an ongoing thing, and it is something that we have to practice and model every day. This just a thing. Yes, ma'am.
I think taking the Open Meetings Act training too is helpful. It's out there. It's on the website, and saying that only one person has to do it in the group. It would help everybody to take it, including the directors and all the board members, because it just helps them to understand the better way to do this. There isn't really any training when you get on as a board member, and especially when we have a new governor, you get a lot of new people on the boards, and they need to understand how to actually, not everyone has sat through 900 county council meetings that the rest of us have. But, we have and they haven't, so it's kind of helpful to
That
do
is a
that.
great point. Yeah, it's a great point. And
Thank you.
that's very real.
It is, yeah.
Sometimes we believe everyone is so enthralled, like with all the legislation. No, actually they're not.
No, no,
But
no.
thank you. Yes, very, anything further on that? No, I will say I'll give an example. Decorum, and this board. We shared this, and I think Jink was president, but we shared this at the biannual when uh, I was the sole uh, left on the board, and my colleagues, we were dealing with an issue very sensitive and very significant for them. I will say that. Three. And they had the opportunity to just run rockshot and just do whatever they wanted to do. They took the time collectively to consider my position, my point of view, to even hear it, to influence it, to consider it, to allow me to have a voice. And I will honor that to this day because they did not have to. I learned a lot from them. And a lot of that was about decorum. A lot of that was about respect. A lot of that was about deliberation. And also kindness. Because I was new, they opened and allowed me the opportunity to learn and grow. And many of them had the local board experience. Many of them were attorneys. I think two of them were attorneys. And I'm not. I just played one on TV, and they really, really were um, uh, uh, considerate, and decorum was paramount. It was in their actions. It wasn't even. It didn't even need to be stated. It was in their actions. It was in their courtesies that they extended, and their patience. And it did not. And it became. It did become the idea of what friendship looks like or could become.
Yes.
Where they were it just did. So I do still offer the idea that friendship is the most just act that we can commit to with regards to our behavior, and that our leadership be that of magnanimity. And us being magnanimous in our actions helps us to be selfless and considering others. Thus, decorum is complicit in our role as servants to the public. All right. But it is an act. It is something doing. So we're going to have to see how this goes. So the trainings, please take the trainings. We're going to have to see how this goes. So when we're out there, reviewing and helping and the LBEs, let's be mindful that they are still, we convey deference. Our position is our position and influence is there to be helpful and guidepost. And in that sense, we learned from them from the local level, which I think Jared emulates and demonstrates. He learns from the local, and then he brings it back up to the state and see if we can address some of their concerns at a higher level, regulatory level or legislative level, and making people aware of what's going on the community level. I think we do that effectively. We don't annihilate their voice. That in of itself is a decorum way of acting. So thank you, Jared, for your leadership in those examples of reaching out to the LBEs and retaining their autonomy and their authority.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, with that, we have nothing further. Are there any disclosures of new business? We're moving on. Any disclosure of campaign contributions? What? Oh, okay. Thank you guys very much. No. And now we're on to scheduling our next meeting. Do we have that set for next month? We are looking at,
While, Chair, while
March.
you're thinking about this, I did not know if the board wanted to schedule any in-person board meetings in, this year as well, for everyone to get together. Because I know that might be a little bit harder, or at least maybe something to put on your calendar if you so are inclined to think of one. We can also discuss that, and we're going to see each other possibly in May, so at the biannual, but I didn't know if you wanted to as you just kind of put that on your radar, not necessarily it has to be discussed today as well, but to have another in-person one, because those are nice to have every now and then.
All right, thank you very much. That'd be something to consider. Maybe July. I mean, it never looks great in July, but let's look at March 27th. How are we looking on the 20th or 27th in March? St. Pat, 17th is St. Patrick's Day weekend.
What is the date?
27th.
What's that?
I'm good for the 27th.
Okay,
What are the dates, Chair? 20?
Same here, March 27th. Same
okay,
here.
March 27th. All right, we're looking at March 27th, 2 p.m.
That works.
I'm good.
Okay,
works,
excellent.
yep.
That works, Jim? All right,
Yes,
thank you
it
very
does, thank you.
much, Vice Chair. March 27th, 2 p.m.
March 27th. 2 p.m.
All right. Now, folks, we will be moving into a closed session this evening. So we will not be coming back. So we will need a motion to adjourn, but prior to that, I will accept a motion to move into closed session. We are moving into closed session for the statutory authority, under the statutory authority regarding general provisions, Article Section 3-305B1 to discuss an employment matter.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you also very much. We will be moving into closed session. Is there a motion to adjourn? Yes, Member Vice Chair.
Yes.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Probably seconded. Thank you very much by Member Weissman. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. We are adjourned. We will meet back in the closed session. Folks, you need 10 minutes.
Yeah.